Okay, got a question here from Power Metal Gamer here on YouTube, which, if you haven't already, I'm going to put a link in the description. Go check out the Power Metal Gamer. He's a fantastic guy, entertaining guy on camera, loves his metal, and he loves his video games, and he loves his horror films, so he's alright with me. Go check out that crazy Irish bastard, the Power Metal Gamer, and he has an excellent question. He wants to know what my top 3 favorite horror films are, and, very good, very topical in keeping with the season, and I'm a big horror fan. That's kind of like one of the understated things, I guess, on my channel. I'm a huge fan of horror films. So while it's really hard to narrow it down just because I have a lot of favorites from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, more recent ones, I just picked 3 that I feel like I can watch anytime. It doesn't have to be around Halloween. It could be any time of day, any time of the year. I could have watched it a million times already. I'm going to watch it again and still be entertained. And I think I picked 3, not 2, but 3 movies that fit well into that category. First of all, one of my all-time favorite horror films, one of the best zombie movies ever made. It's got to be Return of the Living Dead.
In the dark of the night, something strange is going on.
You see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
So what's so great about Return of the Living Dead? Basically, it takes a movie genre, which is zombie films, which by the early mid-80s had become kind of stale. It got kicked off with Night of the Living Dead, and then there was Dawn of the Dead, which was great, but there were a bunch of other lesser known, lower budget zombie films, a lot of Italian zombie films, which those have a charm all their own. I like Zombie 2, the Lucio Fulci zombie movies. They have a charm all their own, but zombie movies were, I guess at that time, getting maybe like a little bit stale. Zombies and slasher and creature features, all that stuff had really been, an oversaturated market. Everybody was kind of doing that at the time. And then here's Return of the Living Dead, which takes zombies, which, admittedly is always cool. You can always get something out of a zombie flick. You take that, but then you put it with this like cool, like punk rock, like all the characters in the the movie, in the context of the film, there are a lot of punk rock kids, which is really cool. You have a really great soundtrack with, like the Cramps is on the soundtrack, the song Surfing Dead. I love it. Cramps is actually one of my favorite bands. And you take, it's a genre up to that point that had been played pretty much totally straight. It's all there to like horrify you, and this is deadly serious stuff, zombies taking over the earth. This one, much more comedic tone to it. This movie at points can make you laugh out loud, and at certain points it can scare the shit out of you. Where is he? The fucking Tar Man gave me nightmares actually when I was a little kid, like maybe 5-6 years old, seeing this movie for the first time. But you've got comedy and you've got horror. You have really excellent looking zombies. Tar Man, I think to this day, perhaps the most memorable zombie in a zombie film ever, in my mind. It scared me when I was a kid, but now I just love the Tar Man. I want fucking, Tar Man shit on it. If I could just have that full body costume, I would wear that. Not even just for Halloween. I would probably just sit around in it in my house. That's how much, how cool that is to me now. But really great zombies. The characters are great. There's naked dancing in a cemetery. A fantastic soundtrack. Return of the Living Dead, just one of the all-time great zombie films. Great films in general. It's just so fun to watch, and I could watch it a million times. It'll never get old. Return of the Living Dead, absolutely amazing. I give it 2 big gorilla thumbs up. Everybody should watch Return of the Living Dead.
grave and ready to party. The Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, number 2. For number 2, I decided to pick a movie from one of my favorite directors ever, which is John Carpenter. Which John Carpenter, I feel like he's one of those directors. He could have really done anything. He has some really great action movies, like Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York are fantastic. Even though Escape from New York, not super heavy on the action, it's still a really great movie. But John Carpenter did horror really well. Halloween, The Fog, The Prince of Darkness, these are all really great movies. But my personal favorite John Carpenter horror film, and one of my favorite horror films ever, is his version of The Thing.
This is U.S. Station 31. You read me? Found something in the ice. We need some help down here. Can anybody hear me? We found something. We found something. We found something.
Alright, so what makes The Thing so awesome? It's a remake of the 1950s Thing from Another World, which in its own right is a really great movie. But the 82 version, I believe it came out in 82. First of all, cast is awesome. Kurt Russell is amazing. Anytime John Carpenter does something with Kurt Russell, it's just great. Keith David is also one of my all-time favorite actors. Not just the films he does, like The Thing, or They Live, fantastic. Quick and the Dead. He's the voice of Spawn and Goliath from Gargoyles. He's great in Dead Presidents, and even in There's Something About Mary, Men at Work. Keith David to me is a guy that can do no wrong, so he's great. And then even, come on, Wilford Brimley. Wilford Brimley's in it, man. Diabetes, man. But he's not a terribly great actor. He actually flubs a line, and they keep it in. But anyway, it's a good cast. I like the premise that it's very isolated. Are they at the South Pole? They're in Antarctica. It's very isolated, very claustrophobic. You're not getting away, and then here you have this thing that can imitate people. It can take on the shape of the dogs or the people or whomever. So there's always, especially if you're watching it for the first time, there's this air of who's the monster, who is it, and when the reveals come, it's very surprising and cool. It's not anything that they drag out. It's just like, bam, he's the monster, deal with it now. The scene where they're trying to resuscitate the fat guy, big old fat dude, kills over like he had a heart attack. They're gonna use the paddles, the EKG paddles, whatever they're called. And as soon as they press down, his chest opens up with fangs and eats the doctor's arms. So cool. Or when they're doing the blood test scene to figure out who is a thing, and then the guy's head rips apart and then eats another guy's head. That's cool. So the casting is great. John Carpenter always makes great horror films, regardless. The premise, the entire setup, the claustrophobic, isolated atmosphere just makes everything that much more tense and scary. And then the creature effects. I love creature effects from 1980s movies. I love Cronenberg films and all that good stuff. So yeah, the creature monster effects in this film are really, really good. If you've never seen it, I know they recently remade The Thing a third time. I have not watched it. I may or may not. I feel like it was already done right. Well, it was done right in the 50s, but it was done even better in the 80s, and I don't really see why you need to even attempt to top that. But The Thing, 1982, by John Carpenter, with Kurt Russell and Keith David and Wilford Brimley. It's excellent. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. I highly recommend you check out John Carpenter's The Thing. It's awesome.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? He can beat one of those things!
All right, for my third pick, I decided I would pick something based on one of the works of Stephen King, which so many movies based on his writing, not just the horror movies, mind you, but he one of the best writers of fiction like ever, in my personal opinion. My mother is a big fan of Stephen King, so I grew up with his books in the house, and I read stuff like It and Salem's Lot, and I think even like Tommyknockers. I had read a lot of his books as a kid, so a lot of great movies based on his books. Carrie, Shining, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. It, which scared the hell out of me as a kid. It's getting remade. We'll see how that turns out. The Stand, Maximum Overdrive, fucking Silver Bullet, Cujo. I mean, you can just go on and on. Creepshow, which he wrote, and I absolutely love Creepshow as well. See, I could do a whole series of videos on horror movies. But my personal favorite horror movie based on a Stephen King novel is definitely Pet Sematary.
What is this place?
I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
Daddy, is church all right?
Why, Judd?
I had my reasons.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Crandall buried him in the pet cemetery.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
Okay, so what makes Pet Sematary so awesome? Well, I mean, it's a horror film which has, some, cool horror stuff in it, like mutilations and some death and some creepy settings and all of that those kind of archetypical horror things. But like, I guess, like, in a way to describe it, it's almost like poignant horror. The tagline of "Sometimes Dead is Better" is, I guess, really rings true as you watch the events play out in the film. You can kind of follow the mental destruction of Louis Creed as, the scene where little Gage, when he gets hit by the truck. Spoilers, by the way, if you've never seen Pet Sematary or never read it. One of the most like heartbreaking scenes ever, because I was just the cutest little kid, and he gets crushed by that truck. And since we already know what the Indian burial ground can do, it's we start thinking about it before he starts thinking about it. Like, if you've never seen the movie before and you don't know what's coming up, as soon as the boy dies, you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, could bury him in the burial ground. So Louis Creed is losing his fucking mind, and you as an audience member are kind of along for the ride. You're kind of losing your mind as well, because it is, I guess, kind of an emotionally taxing movie. I've watched it with girlfriends before, and some of them couldn't make it through the entire movie. That truck hits that little boy, and then it's over. Kill it. It's done. And if they make it to the end, every woman I've ever watched it with, because I've watched it with girlfriends, and I've watched it with my girlfriend and her mom, and by the end of it, they're all in tears. And I have kind of like this sick look of satisfaction on my face, like, yes, I've drawn this out of you with this movie. Even Stephen King, I've heard him or read that he said that he had to like take a break in the middle of writing Pet Sematary and go write something else, just because the stuff he was writing was getting too heavy for him emotionally. But Pet Sematary is excellent premise, very well acted. You get, what the hell is her name? She was Tasha Yar in Star Trek Next Generation, and her name escapes me now. But I mean, you get some really great performances. You don't want to go down that road. That road eats up a lot of animals. Nobody can, not impersonate him after seeing this movie. Pet Sematary. Well acted, well shot. Everything is very effective and creepy. The cat church, even just the cat is, creepy. Even when he's not doing anything. Once you know he's a zombie cat, he creeps the hell out of you. And then just really memorable scenes with definitely when Lewis digs up Gage and he's like, hugging the corpse of the kid, and he's like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. And then the kid, when he fucking slices Jed's fucking Achilles tendon, and then that's a really painful scene to watch. But just everything that movie brings to the table. It's horror, but it's not just horror. It kind of moves beyond that and just gives you like this really really experience, this emotionally taxing experience. Pet Sematary is a great film. I love most movies based on Stephen King's work, and this one is my favorite movie based on one of his books, and it's one of my favorite horror films of all time, and just one of my favorite films in general. Pet Sematary, amazing film, highly recommended by me.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror. Pet Sematary.
There you go. 3 horror films that I could say, I guess, are my top 3. It could change at any time. Like if I get onto thinking about other movies that I love, like, Creepshow or Cronenberg's The Fly or The Shining or Silence of the Lambs. When I get onto thinking about stuff like that, this could easily change. It could be 3 different movies altogether. Bottom line, though, I love me some horror films. Probably my favorite genre of films. And if you're not a horror film fan, I would highly recommend you get into it, because there's a lot of depth there. I think maybe the 3 movies I chose could attest to that. There are 3 great horror films. They all fall under the umbrella term of horror. They're all radically different films, and they're great. And thank you, Power Metal Gamer, for your question. I had a lot of fun answering it. And everybody, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.